Have you ever looked at your life and thought, I already know so many principles. I have heard so many teachings. So why does my reality still feel stuck in the same old mess? Have you ever wondered why some people just quietly recite the Diamond Sutra day after day, and somehow their lives begin to move in a completely different direction? Almost as if an invisible hand is rearranging their destiny. Welcome back to the channel. My friend, I am your host, walking this road of awakening together with you, where we talk about wisdom, karma, practice, and how all of that connects with the life you are living right now. Today we are going to dive deep into a question that many people have secretly asked but rarely dare to voice out loud. Can simply reciting the Diamond Sutra really cause a major turnaround in your life? Or is that just a beautiful story we tell ourselves for comfort? And if change does happen, what exactly is changing? Is it your fortune, your external luck, your inner world, or something even deeper than that? The original article this script is based on spoke about 3 layers of inconceivable transformation that come from sincerely reciting the Diamond Sutra for a long time. The first layer is the change that appears on the surface of life, in work and luck, which many people notice first and talk about the most. The second layer is the deeper shift inside your mind, the way you see yourself, others, and all the events of your life. The third layer is the most subtle and profound, something that cannot be fully explained in words, where your sense of existence itself, your understanding of self and reality, quietly flips. In this long-form script, I want to walk with you slowly through these 3 layers, not as a lecture but as a set of living stories. We will follow ordinary people who could be you or me, as they stumble into the practice of reciting this ancient text, sometimes out of desperation, sometimes out of curiosity, sometimes out of faith, and then watch how their lives are gradually rewritten from the inside out. Along the way, we will weave in the core spirit of the Diamond Sutra, the teaching on emptiness, non-attachment, and boundless compassion, and see how it turns into real energy in daily life rather than abstract philosophy. Imagine a man in his early 40s named Daniel. On the surface, Daniel has what many people would call a decent life. He has a stable job in a mid-level managerial position. He owns a small apartment that he is still paying off. He is married and has a daughter in elementary school. But if you sit with him at night, when the lights are low and the mask comes off, you would see a different picture. Inside, Daniel is tired. Not just physically, but tired in his bones. The company where he works is constantly restructuring. Every time the rumor of layoffs appears, his heart pounds like a drum. He stays late to prove his value, saying yes to every task. That means he gets home when his daughter is already asleep on the couch. His wife has become used to eating dinner alone. They talk less and less. Finances are tight. The apartment loan, the car loan, the school fees, the medical bills for his aging parents, all stack up like mountains on his chest. He starts waking up at 3 in the morning for no reason, his mind racing with calculations and what-if scenarios. Coffee becomes his fuel. His temper becomes shorter. He snaps at his wife over small things, then regrets it but does not know how to apologize. One day, after a particularly brutal performance review at work, where a younger superior criticized him in a cold tone, Daniel feels something in him crack. He walks out of the office building, sits in his car, and suddenly the tears he has held back for years burst out. He grips the steering wheel and whispers, "I cannot live like this anymore." But he has no idea what else to do. He is too scared to quit. He is too tired to fight. He feels like a person wrapped in a room with no doors. Around this time, his mother, who visits a temple often, presses a thin book into his hand one weekend. It is a copy of the Diamond Sutra with a simple commentary in plain language. She says, "I know you do not have time for all this religious stuff, but when you feel like you have reached the end of your strength, try reading this out loud. You might not believe anything right now, and that is okay. Just read." Daniel merely rejects it. He is not interested in what he calls superstition. But inside, he is so desperate that he thinks, "Fine, I will try anything once." That night, after his wife and daughter have fallen asleep, he sits alone at the dining table under the dim light, opens the book, and begins to read the Diamond Sutra out loud. The words feel strange in his mouth at first, like a language from another world. Some paragraphs he does not understand at all. But he pushes through, reading from start to finish. By the time he closes the book, it is past midnight. Nothing dramatic happens. There are no visions, no voices from the sky, no sudden solutions to his problems. What he does feel is a slight shift in the air, a small quieting in his chest. For an hour, his mind was not obsessively replaying work scenes or worrying about bills. It was concentrated on the sound of his own voice reciting the text. He falls asleep that night a little more easily. The next day, after another stressful day at work, he hesitates but returns to the book. He reads again. This time he notices a sentence that touches him: the teaching that all forms, all appearances, are not ultimate reality. A strange thought crosses his mind. If even the form of his career, his title, his status, are not solid and permanent, then maybe his entire life is not as locked and hopeless as his fear tells him. He does not fully understand, but the sentence lingers like a small seed. He keeps reciting night after night, sometimes dozing off mid-sentence, sometimes pausing to let a phrase sink into his heart. Months pass. His external situation does not immediately become perfect. The company still has pressure. The economy is still uncertain. His daughter still throws tantrums occasionally. But small, almost invisible, shifts begin to appear. One day, when a colleague carelessly blames him for a mistake in front of others, Daniel feels his old anger rise. His chest tightens. The familiar urge to fight back with sharp words is there. But then, from somewhere inside, a line from the Diamond Sutra arises by itself, about not being attached to the notions of self or ego. A question appears in his mind: if I do not cling so tightly to this image of myself as the one who must always be right, how do I want to respond? He breathes once and, instead of exploding, calmly clarifies the facts. He says, "I understand why you might think that, but actually the mistake came from the previous step. Let us look at the process together." His tone is firm but not hostile. The colleague, surprised, backs down. The conflict dissolves. Later that night, reflecting on the event, Daniel realizes something has changed. The automatic reaction that used to control him loosened. It is not that he has become weak. It is that he has gained a tiny bit of space between stimulus and response. That space, he senses dimly, comes from the time he spends every night soaking his mind in words that constantly remind him not to take his roles and identities so solidly. This is the beginning of the first layer of inconceivable change. From the outside, it looks like improved luck, smoother relationships, fewer conflicts, better decisions. But underneath, what is really happening is that his inner patterns are being rewired little by little. As his mind stops clinging so desperately, his actions become less reactive and more skillful. Because his actions change, the karmic fruits he experiences begin to shift. After half a year of reciting, another turning point arrives. The company announces a new project team. It is a risky move, tasked with exploring a new business area. Most people avoid volunteering, afraid of failure. Daniel feels the old fear rise again. Another part of him whispers, "Enough, just keep your head down." But then another voice, quiet and steady, shows up. It is the voice that has been shaped by the sutra. The voice that knows all conditioned phenomena are impermanent and that clinging to safety is itself a form of suffering. He thinks, "For years I have been drowning in anxiety about losing my job. And yet I have never truly stepped into something new. If all of this is just a web of causes and conditions, why not plant a new cause? I am tired of living only from fear. To his own surprise, he raises his hand and volunteers for the project. The next months are tough. There is pressure, long hours, steep learning. But he notices that because of his nightly recitation, his mind just does not panic in the same way anymore. When problems arise, instead of thinking, "This is the end," he thinks, "This is another phenomenon arising and passing. Let me meet it with a clear mind." The project does not become a huge overnight success, but it does well enough to catch the attention of upper management. More importantly, Daniel discovers skills he did not know he had. He becomes more flexible, more creative. His sense of his own value shifts from a shaky dependence on fixed titles to a more grounded trust in his ability to adapt and learn. His relationship with his family also starts to soften. One evening, his daughter spills juice on the floor just as he comes home exhausted. The old Daniel would have snapped instantly. This time, he feels the irritation, watches it like a cloud, and instead squats down to help her clean, saying, "Next time, be a little more careful. Okay?" His daughter blinks, surprised, then smiles. His wife watches from the kitchen doorway, and something in her heart relaxes. She thinks, maybe the man I first fell in love with is coming back. From this story, you can see the first layer of inconceivable power. It is not that the Sutra magically manipulates external reality like a spell. It is that reciting it sincerely over time reshapes the way your mind responds, which in turn reshapes the world you experience. Work becomes less of a battlefield and more of a training ground. Family conflicts become opportunities to practice patience and kindness. Fear-driven decisions are slowly replaced by choices grounded in a deeper understanding of impermanence and interdependence. Now let us step into the second layer, which is even more subtle. This is the transformation of the inner landscape, your beliefs, your stories about who you are, the meaning you give to success and failure, gain and loss. Imagine someone named Lisa. She is in her late 20s, bright, driven, and deeply insecure. She grew up being praised only when she achieved something: high grades, awards, impressive internships. So she internalized the belief, "I am only worthy when I am outperforming others." Now, in the competitive world of social media and constant comparison, this belief turns into a monster. She scrolls through images of friends getting married, buying homes, launching startups, traveling, and her chest tightens. Even when she is doing well, she feels behind. Her emotions rise and fall violently with each piece of news about someone else's success. She smiles on the outside but feels hollow inside. One day, after a particularly painful evening of comparison, she randomly clicks on a video where an old monk is explaining a line from the Diamond Sutra. The line says that all things that have form are illusory, and that one should see the world as a dream, a shadow, a reflection. The monk says calmly, "When you chase shadows and reflections as if they are the ultimate truth, you will always be exhausted." For some reason, this touches Lisa. She begins to research the text and finds a simple booklet that encourages people to recite it daily. Not for superstition, but as a way to wash the mind. She decides to try. At first, the words feel dry. She struggles to pronounce some phrases, but she persists. Day after day, she spends 20 or 30 minutes reading the text out loud. Sometimes she focuses. Sometimes her mind drifts, but she keeps returning. Over time, something strange begins to happen. The phrases about non-attachment to appearances and about not clinging to fixed identities act like a quiet acid, dissolving some of her deepest assumptions. She starts to question her own story. She catches herself thinking, "If I do not own an apartment by 30, I am a loser." Then immediately, another thought, born from the sutra, responds, "Who decided that this form, this external marker, defines your worth? Is that not just a conditioned belief shaped by society and family? She begins to see how many of her sufferings are created by clinging to rigid forms in her mind: form of a perfect career, form of a perfect relationship, form of what a successful life should look like. As she recites verses that again and again point away from form and toward the emptiness behind all concepts, she gains a new kind of freedom. It does not mean she stops striving. She still works hard, still cares about her goals, but the feverish, desperate edge fades. When a colleague gets promoted before her, she still feels a sting, but instead of spiraling into self-hatred, she thinks, "This is another story in the world of form. It is not the measure of my true value." In conversations with friends, she becomes more present and less hungry for validation. She finds herself listening deeply instead of calculating how to appear impressive. Some friends feel the difference and say, "You feel calmer these days, less anxious. What happened?" She smiles and says, "I started reciting a very old text every night, and somehow it is teaching me to loosen my grip on the things that used to control me." This is the second layer of inconceivable power, the shift in your inner world. From being whipped around by socially conditioned beliefs to seeing through them. The Diamond Sutra constantly pushes the mind to let go of fixed views, to recognize that all labels, all categories, all rigid identities are limited. When these teachings move from the page into your heart through repeated recitation, your emotional life transforms. You react less. You reflect more. You do not confuse temporary forms with ultimate truth. You stop making your self-worth dependent on numbers, titles, or other people's opinions. That creates an enormous mental space. In that space, compassion for yourself and others begins to grow naturally. Now we approach the third layer, the most subtle and mysterious, which words can only point toward. This is where reciting the Diamond Sutra for a long time, with sincerity and reflection, leads you to question even your most basic sense of self. Let us imagine an older practitioner, someone who has recited the text daily for many years. His name is Michael. He is retired, lives simply, and spends a large part of his day in quiet activities: walking, reading, helping at a local community center, and every morning before dawn, reciting the sutra. When he first started, decades ago, he did so because his life was in chaos. There were conflicts, financial problems, health scares. Over time, many of those outer storms settled, but he kept reciting, not out of fear now, but out of love and gratitude. The text had become like a dear friend. As the years passed, something very profound happened. Almost without him noticing it clearly at first, he began to feel less like a solid, separate entity moving through a hostile world, and more like a pattern of experiences arising and passing in awareness. He still uses the word "I" when he talks, but inside, that "I" feels lighter. It is not a tight, contracted center defending itself all the time. It is more like a convenient label for a flow of sensations, thoughts, feelings, and memories. When pain arises in his body, he feels it fully, but he does not immediately turn it into, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, he observes, pain is present. When someone praises him for his kindness, a warm feeling appears. Then he watches it pass, remembering the sutra's warnings about clinging to merit. When someone criticizes him, he feels a pinch of hurt, but then recalls that both praise and blame are like echoes. He spends many quiet hours simply resting as the observer of all these changes. And he senses that this awareness itself is not born in, not dying in the way that physical forms are. He cannot fully explain it to others, but there is a profound ease in his being. One day, a younger practitioner asks him, "Uncle, you have recited the Diamond Sutra for so many years. What is the biggest change it has brought you?" Michael thinks for a long moment and says, "At first it changed my luck. I had fewer disasters, more ease. Then it changed my mind, taught me to see the emptiness of the things I clung to. But deepest of all, It changed my sense of who I am. I used to feel like a small self fighting a vast universe. Now, more and more, I feel that there is only this one vast field of experience, and what I call me is just one wave in it. The younger practitioner frowns and says, "That sounds very abstract. Does it help in daily life?" Michael chuckles softly and replies, "It is the only thing that truly helps. When you stop taking the small self as absolutely real, so many fears dissolve. Fear of failure, fear of losing face, fear of death. They do not disappear completely, but they lose their power. And when your own self-center does not feel so heavy, it becomes so much easier to care about others. Compassion flows naturally, because you no longer feel so separate. This is the third layer of inconceivable transformation. It is not about getting what you want from the world. It is about realizing you weren't ever as separate from the world as you thought. It is about seeing through the illusion of a fixed, solid self and opening into a much wider sense of being. Reciting the Diamond Sutra, especially when combined with meditation on ethical living, gradually engraves its insight into your nervous system. The teachings on non-attachment to form, on giving without clinging to any notion of giver, receiver, or gift, on not grasping even at the idea of enlightenment, all work together to dissolve the subtle arrogance of the spiritual ego. You may find yourself becoming less obsessed with being a good person in the eyes of others and more interested in simply being awake and kind in each moment. You may feel that life flows through you rather than being something you must constantly control. You may experience, especially in periods of deep stillness, the taste of what it means to rest in awareness that is not bound by your personal story. Of course, talking about this third layer can be dangerous if the mind turns it into another concept to cling to. The point is not to walk around declaring, "I have no self." The point is to soften your identification with the stories that cause suffering, so that you can live more freely and love more fearlessly. Now, at this point, you might be wondering, does all of this really come from reciting one text? Is that not too much to claim? It is important to clarify something. The Diamond Sutra itself is not a magical object. Simply moving your lips mechanically while your mind wanders through gossip and complaints will not suddenly transform your destiny. What matters is the combination of repeated recitation, sincere intention, and gradual understanding. Think of it like this. Your mind is like a piece of land that has been filled with certain seeds for years: fear, greed, anger, rigid beliefs. Those seeds have grown into a certain landscape. The Diamond Sutra, when recited often, is like a steady rain of different seeds, insights about emptiness, non-attachment, generosity, and compassion. At first, nothing seems to happen. But as you keep reciting, those new seeds begin to sprout. They compete with, and eventually replace, some of the old plants. The landscape changes. This is not superstition. It is the law of cause and effect applied to your inner world. What you repeatedly expose your mind to becomes the shape of your mind, and your mind shapes your destiny. You might ask, so how should I recite to let these three layers of transformation unfold? You do not need to make it complicated. You can start with a simple commitment, like reciting a section or the entire text once a day, at a fixed time that you can keep. It might be early morning, before your phone wakes up and the world pulls you in 1,000 directions. It might be late at night, when the noise has quieted. When you recite, treat it as a conversation with your deeper self. Let your voice be steady and clear. You do not have to understand every sentence at first. Understanding will grow over time. When a phrase catches your heart, pause. Reflect for a moment on how it applies to your life right now. If you are facing a specific problem, like financial stress, emotional pain, or confusion about your path, you can silently dedicate your recitation toward wisdom and clarity in that area. Not in a bargaining way, but in a spirit of opening. You are not asking the sutra to fix things for you. You are asking it to show you where your attachment and ignorance are, so you can act more wisely. over months and years. As recitation becomes a natural part of your routine, you will likely go through phases. There will be periods when you feel inspired, when insights flash and tears flow. There will be periods when everything feels dry, and the practice feels boring. Both are normal. The key is continuity. Just as you do not stop watering a plant because one day it looks dull, you do not stop reciting because one week you feel nothing. In fact, those dry times are often when the roots are growing deeper underground. You are training a part of yourself to be faithful, to keep walking even when the emotional reward is not obvious. That faithfulness itself is a powerful karmic force. Eventually, you will look back and realize that the person who started reciting is not the person who is reciting now. Your outer life may have changed, some troubles resolved, some blessings appeared. Your inner life will certainly have changed, less obsession, less anxiety, more space, more clarity. And if you stay with it long enough, your very sense of what you are will begin to feel more spacious, less cramped by old stories. Before we close, I want to share a more personal reflection, almost like sitting down with you as a friend at the end of a long day. Maybe right now you are listening to this not from a place of curiosity, but from a place of exhaustion. Maybe, like Daniel, you feel trapped by work and responsibility. Maybe, like Lisa, you are suffocating under the weight of comparison and self-doubt. Maybe you have been searching for something, trying different practices, reading different books, but everything feels fragmented and scattered. If that is where you are, then think of the Diamond Sutra not as another item on your spiritual to-do list, but as a steady companion you can walk with. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to understand everything. You do not even need to believe anything at the beginning. You only need to show up, day after day, with whatever heart you have that day. Some days it will be a heart full of faith. Some days it will be a heart full of doubt. Some days it will be a heart full of anger or numbness. Bring that heart to the recitation anyway. Let the words wash over you, like a river flowing over a stone. The stone does not see itself becoming smooth day by day, but the river keeps shaping it. In the same way, you might not notice your transformation in the moment, but over months and years, the edges of your fear and attachment will soften. Maybe one day you will find yourself in a situation that would have triggered you badly in the past, and suddenly realize that your reaction is completely different. Maybe you will notice that your compassion has grown wider, your patience deeper, your sense of humor more generous. Maybe you will wake up from a nightmare of worry and think, this too is only a dream, another passing scene. Just like the Sutra says, at that moment, you will understand, not intellectually but with your whole being, what it means for the Diamond Sutra to turn your life around. It does not necessarily mean that you will become rich, famous, or outwardly successful, though positive changes may come. It means that the axis around which your life spins has shifted, from fear and grasping to awareness and letting go. It means that you no longer live only as a small self trapped in circumstances, but as a growing expression of wisdom and compassion within the web of cause and effect. As we reach the end of this script, I want to invite you into a gentle kind of courage. The courage to start, even if you feel unworthy. The courage to continue, even when you feel nothing. The courage to trust that every sincere recitation is planting seeds you cannot yet see. If any part of this resonated with you, if a story or a sentence made something in your chest feel a little lighter, I would love to hear from you. Have you ever tried reciting the Diamond Sutra or any other sacred text regularly? Did you notice any changes in your life, big or small? Did your luck shift? Your relationships soften? Your inner world become clearer? Or are you standing at the edge, wondering if you should begin? Share your experiences and questions in the comments. Your story might be exactly what another person, sitting somewhere in the dark, needs to hear tonight. If you found this script meaningful, please support the channel in whatever way feels right to you. You can subscribe, leave a like, Share this with someone who might need it. Or even join as a member to help us keep creating long, thoughtful content like this. Every bit of support is like another small lamp being lit in a vast night, helping this conversation about awakening, wisdom, karma, compassion, and practice reach more hearts. Thank you for spending this time here. May your path be illuminated, step by step. May the ancient words of the Diamond Sutra become living wisdom in your modern life. May you experience, in your own way, the 3 layers of inconceivable transformation: outer change, inner freedom, and a deep, quiet shift in how you experience being alive.
There comes a time when you realize you want something that belongs just to you, something that brings comfort and keeps you connected to your inner world. Wall-crafted bracelet does exactly that. Quietly, softly, and consistently. If you felt drawn to any bracelet in this video, you'll find the purchase link in the video description, and many more auctions in the channel's storefront. Because sometimes the smallest item can bring the biggest sense of peace.